How are you?
I just can't believe we're both still home.
We're I know this is the long stretch. Some of my friends here in Nashville are like, "You're always gone." I'm like, "I'm home for like 6 weeks." I mean, that's that's a long time.
Well, I originally said that, and then I was like, oh, I got to book a trip to Nashville for work.
I know. I just love. Yeah. I mean, you get it. You get it.
Always on the road. It takes a few select people to get it, but
I
it is
know.
what it is. So, what is next for you? You have Beyond, right? Jason, did we lose you? Did you mute yourself? Can anybody? There you
There
are.
we go. There we go. I think my AirPod just died. I'm so sorry.
I was like, where'd he go?
I'm so sorry. I was trying to put my AirPod in. Sorry, but we're good now.
But it's the Beyond for you is next, right?
Yes, yeah. So I'm doing a Beyond Barcelona to Rome 9 nights. Going in a couple days early, staying at the hotel you told me to stay at in Barcelona, the Edition.
I
So
cannot wait
excited!
for you to. I cannot wait for you to try this hotel. It is.
I'm I am
It's,
excited.
it's
And you
a
said there's
it's
the
a top five for me, or maybe even a top.
really
Like I loved it.
okay.
Like it's not like super flashy. There is just like there's this service element to it because it's smaller. You know, that signature scent that goes on at each edition property, the turn down service. I kind of like that it's a little bit more minimalistic in style. I know that sounds super first world to say.
No, it's like
It's minimalistic with high end
I
finish.
mean, that's exactly how I would describe the Miami edition, right? It was very nice, but it was more subtle luxury versus like
Like a Ritz Carlton or something like that.
right, like gold fixtures, gold chandeliers. Like it wasn't that. It was a little bit more
I'm
elevated. Like,
I'm just so excited for you to have that little nook to sit in the morning. And I will say also, pro tip, their breakfast is really great. I had a fabulous like chia seed pudding and avocado
okay,
toast, and I sat right in my little nook and had my breakfast. It's just
nice. Well, I do love getting espresso in Europe, so maybe hopefully there's a nice cafe
I
close to
know
the
that we've
hotel.
told so many people that you were not a coffee drinker about 4 years ago, right? 4 or 5 years ago. And now Jason's an avid coffee drinker.
I
But
am
I
more.
telling him that up until that point, I'm like, you need to have coffee in Europe. Espresso and
Oh
coffee.
yeah, it's a
It's a
totally
like
different
I
experience.
remember coming home from Italy, my first go in 2019, and going down to our local coffee shop here on the main drag and getting a double espresso. And it was just kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it just tastes different in Europe. I mean, I've had it
It's almost
in.
like creamier.
I
Like there's
agree.
like a velvety, like creamier.
I agree. And I just get it just black, like double espresso black. Well, this is Today in Coffee, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thanks for joining.
Yeah. All right. Well, Haley, it is top of the hour. Let's get started. We have a big show, lots of topics. You're going to teach
Lots of
me a
good
thing or
talking from
two.
you guys.
Yes, yes. So, all right, guys. Well, good morning. I am Jason Poole. I am a travel advisor with Cruise Planners and American Express travel representative. We do this show every Tuesday. We basically get to see what we talk about off camera all the time. Good morning, Miss Haley. How are you this morning?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Haley. I am the owner and president of Hospitality with a Flair, which is a hotel sales support company. And I travel blog on the side whenever I have time these days and share travel love with Jason and my toxic trays, being like, Jason, can we look at this weekend to go to Paris maybe?
We were literally looking at Delta.com. I was like, oh, shoot, we have a show coming up. So we need to go look at the show and
That's
stop
our
searching for
toxic trait.
flights at Delta.com. All
All
right. Well,
right,
we
first
have
topic.
we have some great news. My beloved country of Spain, my favorite country in the whole world that I've been to so far, is now easing requirements for Americans. So this basically applies to Americans who are not vaccinated. They're able to show just a negative COVID test to get into the country. Spain says it's because they've seen a 9% drop in cases past week. Cases are declining in Europe and parts of Europe, while they're increasing here. But we will talk about that later. So that is great news if if you did not get the COVID vaccine or unable to get it or whatever and want to go to Spain, it is now going to be far easier to get into Spain. Now, cruises out of Spain are still requiring the vaccine. So if you think you can hop on, the Odyssey or the Beyond, whatever, it's still, all the cruise lines are still requiring it. So speaking of cruises.
Yes. I didn't even realize this wasn't really on my radar. And then I saw the article and I was like, huh. I mean, the hotels are popping up everywhere.
So this is part of the Paradise Cruise Line. They just do very short trips from Florida to the Bahamas. It's just a quick, easy sailing to get there and back. They bought a 30-year-old ship, and they just revitalized it, and it's called the Margarita at Sea Paradise. So it's the brand's first true cruise ship. And they're doing trips in the Bahamas. I mean, it looks like a fun time if you're really into the Margaritaville culture. You want to hear Jimmy Buffett from sunrise to sunset to the all hours. I mean, some of the photos look really great, especially if you live in Florida. I could see hopping on that for just a quick little,
even a little trip. That's the beauty of cruising, is there's a different line for everybody. I mean, that's the beauty of travel. There's different hotels for everybody. There's different airlines for everybody. You can find something like.
Well, speaking of hotels for everybody,
yes,
you found these two new beautiful Marriott hotels opening in St. Thomas this fall. And I think that's needed, right? Because I've had some clients who want to go to St. Thomas. But they did a cruise there, they loved it, and I've never really been overly impressed by some of the options there.
There's not a huge brand presence, I feel like, in the U.S. Virgin Islands for your mainstream brands.
Right.
I know that Marriott has a LaCroix or St. Croix property. There's not a whole lot of selection. A lot of it's old.
It was a lot of old. So the two properties, one is an autograph collection, which you can speak to this a little more clearly. It's more of a boutique style in the autograph collection. And then they're opening a Westin beach resort. That's the one that I think, I don't know, that one looks fantastic. That Westin looks great. So I'm excited that, especially for my clients who want to, travel to St. Thomas. But, being an American, it's very easy as far as
Virgin Islands
into St. Thomas. Right. So some of these properties look absolutely beautiful.
Speaking of beautiful.
So Delta has come out with their new A321s, and we talked about this in our show recently about the new first class cabin seats and configurations. They look beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I see photos of this. I don't know when I'll ever get to fly in one of these. I live on regional jets.
I feel like I live on regional jets and the same 757 dinosaur Delta One models.
Oh, well, yeah. So, but I mean, I actually kind of I want to find where this flight is, or one of these flights are, so I can sit up front and experience this seat. It looks great. I mean, honestly, it reminds me a lot of the International Premium Select seats.
Yeah.
It definitely gives me that vibe. It's definitely nicer. But so, I mean, it's kind of been known, kind of unofficially, that Delta has a better soft product than, American. Customer service, some of the food, but Americans kind of known often to have like a better hard product, like the actual seats, the planes. So I'm glad to see Delta is stepping up and making the hard product better too.
Do you ever think people watch this show and have turned it into a drinking game for every time you and I say Delta?
That is funny.
I'm just saying,
That
if
is funny.
anybody needs an idea for a game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talk about what we know, right? And we
Yeah,
we
and what
definitely
we
know.
love.
We definitely know it. So, we had a great question by Alex in our Facebook group, who who brought up a really good question. Should we be concerned with all of the rising COVID cases in Europe, especially for those people getting off cruises? Now, first of all, I don't think this is necessarily a European problem. We're just in the start of Europe season. So a lot of the ships are just in Europe. The bulk of the people cruising are going to be in Europe. So I don't think it's a Europe problem per se, as much as it is we're now in Europe season.
It's a people thing. Like, you're not having as many ships in the Caribbean. The vast majority of a lot of ships have now gone to
Right,
Europe.
going to Europe. And look, and
I
I
mean,
wouldn't
like,
be surprised.
celebrities, like whole fleet is there.
But
Jason
look, I
and I
mean,
were joking about it, a celebrity sailing during the summer, and there's like none to be found.
right. I mean, the Edge, the Apex, the Beyond, they're all in Europe. The Silhouette is over there. I think the
I think
Reflection.
Summit's out of New York doing Bermuda.
Right. But then a lot of celebrity goes to Alaska. The Eclipse is on the
Alaska
West
too.
Coast. The Solstice is on the West Coast. So yeah, celebrity doesn't have a big presence out of Florida in the summer, but that's just kind of not where they're, as a premium cruise line, they go to the premium destinations, and that's Europe and Alaska. So now let's go back to the question: should we be concerned? Look, I think it is a cause for discussion. We keep it fair and balanced here. I was not pleased with how Celebrity did the COVID situation getting off the ship on the Beyond in Barcelona. The language of the email implied they would COVID test us on the ship. No, that we could buy a testing kit. We had to pick it up off the ship in the terminal and test ourselves in the terminal. I literally had my MacBook propped up on luggage.
I saw the picture.
I'm swabbing my nose. I'm on hotspotting my MacBook from my phone on international cellular, doing COVID testing that way. I don't think this is the right approach. But the cruise lines, I think, were definitely having a get off the ship. It's not our problem anymore.
100%.
So, should we be concerned? No. I mean, I'm still going to cruise, right? Haley, we've talked about.
I'm still cruising. I'm still traveling. It's kind of a living with it situation.
Right.
Then having your backups. It's having your travel insurance and knowing, like, for
Yes.
example, Olivia's private art instructor that she takes lessons from. She went to Paris to visit her daughter, and she popped positive. She hasn't been able to come back yet. I mean, but thankfully, her daughter lives there, so she has a place to stay. But like, kind of having your plan B set up, like, okay, what am I going to do just in case? And for me, that's also packing a couple extra of those test kits to get home. Making sure you're not booking, basic economy tickets, like having that flexibility to be able to cancel, change, rebook, reschedule, and, picking travel partners that are good about that too. It's just, you got to have, your plan B and even C set up.
No, I agree. I mean, if you were traveling to a destination where you have to have a test to come back into the United States, which is pretty much anywhere outside the country, and you don't have travel insurance, I mean, you are just, I mean, you're just rolling the dice. Because people have asked me, what would you have done if you had tested positive getting off the Beyond in Barcelona? It's like, well, I would have called Delta, shot. I would have called Allianz, and I would have just taken myself over to the W Barcelona at the port and worn my mask, booked a hotel room, and I don't know, probably sat on the beach for 5 days by myself and,
I know.
come back home.
Cue us in Paris, like licking every like railing. Let me stay here.
Right.
But I mean, that's part of the reason that I ended up kind of going with Hawaii for Olivia's spring break. And I'm like, getting stuck and her potentially missing that amount of school.
Right.
What led me, partially to that choice. So.
Right. And so I made a mistake. I did not bring a testing kit with me because the language was different than either I interpreted it differently or they had a different policy at the time we got on board. So when I go to Europe this summer, again and the beyond, I am bringing an extra test kit with me. Because I'm going in early, I'll do a test in Barcelona to get on the beyond. And I'll have an extra test kit with me to do a test in my room on the last day. And that way, if it's positive, I have a little bit more time to call the airlines, make plans.
Do what you need to do.
Versus being like, flights in 3 hours, I'm in the terminal, oh crap.
Yeah.
So I think, bring extra tests with you and have travel insurance and be flexible, right? I mean, crap happens. And I mean, yeah, so travel insurance, be flexible, and make sure you are booking on a airline who is easy to work with.
All right, Jason, get off the soapbox. It's my turn to hop up.
Oh, okay. So this was a great question. I will set it up and then I will let you go. So somebody posted in our Facebook group.
I think it was Brian Party.
I think it was Brian. Basically asking, what happens when you get walked at a hotel? So, from my understanding, as a non-hotel guru like you are, getting walked basically means you show up to the hotel, you have a reservation, they're oversold, and you basically don't get a room there, and they usually will put you at a different property. Okay? I've never had this happen to me. So explain to me how it is legal for a hotel to sell more rooms than they have, who gets walked, why, and what to do if it happens. Go.
Well, let me open my book here. Just kidding. All right. So there's a lot of folds to this. So why does a hotel oversell itself? It's not necessarily always a hotel overselling itself. For example, a hotel could be perfectly sold out at 100% occupancy for tomorrow. All their channels are shut off. They're not selling any more rooms. Oh, bed bug outbreak. 2 rooms go out of order.
Okay.
2 rooms for the next day. So there's that situation. It could be a maintenance issue. Like you have pipe burst on the second floor, your whole second floor rooms are, your first floor rooms are gone. It is.
Sure. Okay.
It could also be a situation where, myself from the sales side is, I had a corporate group that was opening a new store that was supposed to check out today, but the contractors have not finished and they're going to be another 2 weeks. I have to make that decision. It makes more sense for me to keep the people happy that have spent a lot of money that are going to stay 14 more days versus maybe that one night reservation I have to walk to somebody else. And then, of course, there are some hotels that oversell. A lot of the hotels now have programs. Hilton's program is called Grow, where it's an AI program that just kind of watches the inventory, because believe it or not, it is not uncommon for 2 or 3 no-shows a day to not show up to their hotel. And like a lot of people are really like shocked when I tell you that. I'm like, it's very consistent. Like, I mean, I have hotels all over the country.
I was a no-show to the Grand Hyatt Athens.
Yeah. And like it's not uncommon, even, out here in Brockport, New York, this Hampton up the street, to have a no-show tonight.
Right.
it's not uncommon. And the goal of a hotel is to sell out your inventory. And as much as you can say like, oh, well, you should be able to charge them, people get really sneaky with chargebacks. Like the goal is to sell out. So there's some hotels that'll put on an oversell for 1, 2, 3 rooms, sometimes more if it's a bigger property, because they know that wash is coming. So those are the general situations as to why it happens. As to what you're entitled to, or we'll talk about who gets walked first before we hop there. First ones to go are third-party reservations. Hotels are paying.
Really?
Hotels are paying usually about 17% commission on those. So it's the least expensive.
And so you're saying like your Expedias, hotels.com, like
Trivago, Kayak, all those kind of things. Now, don't get me wrong, like Amex Travel technically will flag as Expedia, but the way that it shows is Amex Business Travel. So that's a little different. But usually your hotels.com, your Hotwire, your traditional Expedias, they're the first to go. They're the least expensive.
So you're saying like if you book Amex Fine Hotel and Resorts, that's not anywhere near the same as booking like Expedia.
No, depending on the brand, it flags differently. Like there's regular Expedia, then there'll be like Expedia, Amex Global Travel. Like that's why the company name shows up from the IATA. Because the IATAs are different. And for those of you that don't know what an IATA is, Jason has one, and that's how a travel agent or agency tags a booking that they're working. That's how you can kind of source it. That's the easiest way I can explain it. And sometimes these companies also, hotels will give them an allotment. Like they'll say, okay, Expedia, you can have 5 rooms every day of the week. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Expedia be like, oh, oops, we accidentally sold 7. If I had $1. So those are usually the ones to go first. Then we'll look at generic, kind of 1 night or 2 night, whatever we need to get rid of. Non-members will go first, like just generic. And then you work your way up the membership.
Okay.
Is the way that it goes. So to prevent this, most hotels, and this is where this kind of gray area comes in, most hotels that are run by decent people are going to get ahead of this. So if I have a hotel and I'm like, oh crap, I am still oversold by like 5 rooms and it's noon, I've already called around to comparable hotels in my area, and most hotels have a walk rate with their neighbors because where it's direct bill, the hotel pays for it. I'm kind of already pre-planning where I'm going to put people. I will call reservations that have multiple names. Like Mary Smith has 5 rooms. I'm going to call Mary Smith and see if she still has 5 rooms or if she only needs 3. And kind of get ahead of it, because the last thing you want is that person that's been traveling all day coming in at 11 p.m. being told that they've got to go elsewhere. Like it's not a good scenario. Fortunately, there's not great people that always run hotels either. And I'm actually going to put this really great article from the Points Guy in the group after this. That kind of explains what you're entitled to, because there is that gray area with hotels not being regulated by the government that you're not necessarily entitled to XYZ.
So if you get walked from a hotel
and
you were counting on that stay for like status, can you still earn, like, say you booked a Hyatt property and they bumped you to an IHG property? Will the Hyatt property still honor like points and a stay credit?
You could call your customer service, and based on Hyatt's customer service, they're probably going to give that to you. But another recommendation is, like, if you can't check in earlier, the earlier you check in, the better chance that you are not that person at 11 p.m.
Check in, like, even on the app or in person?
Checking in on the app early helps. Even in person, calling ahead to leave a note helps.
Okay.
But also come up with a list of other hotels in the area that you feel are comparable. Because there's some hotels, the ones that are not run by great people, where you could be at a Marriott and they're trying to walk you over to a Comfort Suites.
Okay.
And that's not comparable.
Right.
Now, at the end of the day, if it's a citywide, there's no comparables available. It is what it is. But Marriott actually has a list of compensation based on brands as well as
Okay.
this, and that's what's in this article. So typically speaking, a hotel that's walking you should, I'm not guaranteeing this, should have another place for you to stay that's comparable and pay for your transportation there. Like if you
Okay.
Uber there, they pay for a taxi, send you on your way. You know, it happens. It's not you being targeted. Like I mentioned, all the scenarios that can make that happen. It's just, it is what it is. But having that list of what's open to you, even having travel insurance options, like if you have travel insurance and a hotel's refusing to pay for this walk, go book it, get your money back from that original hotel, submit for your travel insurance.
Right.
Yeah, it's a sticky situation, but the article is going to go in the group. Each hotel brand's a little different, and reading up on what your hotel brand's walk and cancellation policies are really important too.
So I have a question. When I book some of my clients at like luxury all-inclusive resorts, I like using a third-party supplier, you know, such as Travel Impression or a Classic Vacations, for these luxury properties. And some of them have like a flag and they say, we have a no walk contract with this hotel. So they'll say, if you book your client at this hotel through, you know, Classic Vacations, we have a contract. They are not allowed to walk anybody you book. Is that worth something? Is that not worth anything?
Resort World's a little different. Resorts are a little bit more reliant on that third party and travel agent.
Okay.
But that is something that hotel can fill out. They probably did a business case RFP for that particular consortia program. And that was part of it. Like, if you want to be in our program, you have to guarantee our clients don't get walked. So that's where they would go and be like, okay, I can't walk cruise planners, but you know what, that package from Expedia, I could walk.
Right. But I would assume resorts don't overbook like domestic hotels do.
Correct. They're not as transient as a
Right.
generic like domestic hotel. Like the length of stay on those reservations tend to be longer. Where, you know, people going out of Miami, they're staying 1 or 2 nights pre or post cruise.
Right. Okay.
They're not having somebody traditionally stay there for 7.
Right. Exactly.
Properties. So with it being more transient in the market, you'll see that a bit more.
Okay. Well, that was great information as always. You were always teaching me stuff about hotels. Well, guys, if you want to learn about hotels, join our group, todayintravel.live. We did a new Facebook group. I'm sorry, a new YouTube group as well. So make sure to search for us there. Follow us on YouTube. Haley, any parting travel wisdom before we get back with our day?
No, but I am going to show, I am working on a points tutorial video for Marriott Bonvoy for the YouTube channel. So make sure you are subscribed there, because not only are these lives going to be hosted there, any little tips that Jason and I work on, any tours for rooms, cruise ships, they're all going to be housed here.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next Tuesday. Haley, talk to you soon.